So this is the year of Nizami Ganjavi. And to celebrate it, we have an entire history project about him. Now, Nizami Ganjavi is a very famous poet who not only influenced our literature but also world literature. He wrote The Five Jewels, the Treasury of Mysteries, Khosrow va Shirin, Leila va Majnun, The Seven Beauties, and in the Book of Alexander. Now, for our project, what we had to do is analyze one of his poems, specifically the main character of one of his poems, and compare him with his historical counterpart. Now, the poem I chose is Iskandarnama. So, in Azeri, the way we identified the name of Alexander the Great is through Iskandar. That's why Alexander is called Iskandar in this book. So, Iskandarnama sort of consists of two parts, Sharafnama and Iqbalnama. Sharafnama more so focuses on Iskandar as a world conqueror, and it focuses on Alexander's rise as being the conqueror of the world, and he certainly does has conquered lots of territories. Whereas Iqbalnama more so focuses on Alexander as a prophet, that he stops seeking pleasure and starts actually seeking knowledge, and for that he becomes a prophet. This part of the book sort of consists of around to 7 stories. Is one such as the tale of Archimedes and his Chinese slave girl also married the Copt. So it sort of gives some basic information about the historical Alexander. Alexander was born as the son of Philip II and the emperor of the Macedonian Empire. And after Philip II was killed, Alexander sort of became the new emperor. He made one of the most famous campaigns, the Persian campaign. During the campaign, he fought against the Persian king Darius III at Issus and Gaugamela. And Alexander was victorious over both of them. Darius III was on a run. Eventually, he was killed by a satrap named Besus. And Alexander still wanted to continue conquering even past Persia, but because of his troops, he had to go back east. He had to go back west. I'm sorry, and then he died in Babylon due to some sources say it was due to a disease, some sources say it was due to an overdrinking of alcohol, for many different causes. So there are a couple of differences between the Iskandarnama poem and the actual historical events, such as the characterization between Iskandar and Alexander. Iskandar is much more of a heroic figure than an Alexander, because such as when Iskandar went to Egypt to free them from their enemies. Whereas Alexander went to Egypt so that he can, with the intention of expanding his empire and not freeing Egyptians. That's how the Egyptians still called him However, he was still viewed as a liberator to the Egyptians, which is why he was called liberated by Egyptians. So another key difference is that at Iskandar, after accomplishing all of his campaigns, stopped out seeking pleasure and started seeking knowledge, and that's why he became a prophet. Whereas in history, Alexander still wanted to continue conquering, but he only stopped because of his troops. And then another difference is like their relationship with Aristotle. Aristotle in Iskandarnama was actually a classmate of Iskandar, whereas in actual history, Aristotle was the tutor of Alexander when he was from 13 into 16. Additionally, the death of Darius III is different between the poem and the history. In the poem, in Iskandarnama, Darius III was killed by 2 treacherous officers, while in history, as I've said before, he was killed by a satrap named Besus. So pretty much continuing, another key difference is that the amount of land captured by the Alexanders is in Iskandarnama. Iskandar managed to capture not only the entirety of Iran, he also managed to capture countries like China and Arabia, whereas as in history, Alexander managed to Alexander the man managed to only capture territories up to modern day Afghanistan and Pakistan. And the final difference I would like to state right now is the way Iskandar that Alexander died. So in the poem Iskandar dies. So in the poem in Iskandarnama, Iskandar dies having fulfilled all of his everything he wanted in life, if and he wrote his will to his children and peacefully died. Whereas as in history, as I said before, Alexander died at what Alexander died when he still wanted to continue conquering. When he and Alexander sort of died with no clear reason. Some sources say he died because of some disease. Some sources say he died because of overdrinking of alcohol. So the second part of the project required me to find a historical monument related to Nizami Ganjavi or one of Nizami Ganjavi's works. I chose the Bahram Gur statue near Funiculor. Now, for some of the basic facts about it, the statue was erected in 1959. In the leading architect was Wajim Shulgin, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And this statue sort of depicts the hero of the seven beauties. It is the Sassanid Persian Shah Bahram Gur. Now, what Bahram Gur is doing, he appears to be slain. He appears to be slain a water spouting snake with a scimitar. And yeah, I think that's about it. And finally, this statue is the first sort of monument to depict one of the heroes from Nizami Ganjavi's works. So now I would like to thank all of you for watching this, and a special thanks to my history teachers for this amazing opportunity. Goodbye.